It's a matter of opinion if I'm right, but I'm leaving no for now to go outside, putting chores and obligations on our part.
Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to another episode of Matter of Opinion. I'm your boy Walls P.
I'm your girl, Erica.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a viral video about a Karen who I believe, ladies and gentlemen, these are the most dangerous Karens that you can run into. Now, the gentleman that experienced this is a man by the name of Alonzo Harmon, who is an HVAC technician. If you didn't see that clip, here's that clip.
She is on the phone with 911 right now.
I'm rude and he's just threatening me
Look.
right now.
Look at her. She said I just threatened her. What threat did I make towards you?
I'm Elizabeth.
What threat did I make towards you, ma'am? Huh? This is crazy. I've never I already knew what it was when I first got here though.
Here she is 1 minute later trying to sound distressed so the police can come quicker.
What? What? What in the world is this, boy? I ain't gonna lie. I've never in my life had to deal with no bullshit like this. Never in my life.
That is what this individual had to go through. Let me give you guys some background of what actually happened in this video. This was an article out of the Daily Beast where Alonzo said that he went to the client's home just outside of Minneapolis to perform an air duct cleaning, and he could tell things were off as soon as he arrived. Just the way she cut me off when I tried to explain things, he said, when I entered the home, the first thing she says to me is, "They let you do this job?" Once I actually started to try and do my job, she was over my back, basically continuously asking me the same question on how did I get the job? What was my interest in the job? Do I actually know what I'm doing? Like, do I actually know what I'm doing in the home and stuff like that? He added. He said that he laughed off her comments until she allegedly told him she simply didn't trust him. She didn't believe they sent the right person out to her home. He continued, basically, she didn't believe I worked for the company. At that point, he decided to pack up his equipment and leave, telling her that she was being rude. And that's when the woman called the police, he said. According to Alonzo, police stayed briefly to document what each side said happened and told him to leave the premises to de-escalate the situation. But the woman allegedly asked the officers, can he finish his job? He then said no. She has to deal with someone else. Alonzo did not specify the woman's race or ethnicity, but he did say there was a language barrier between the two. He also told the Daily Beast he felt the situation was racially motivated. You're basically grilling me as I approach your home. There can't be any other reason for you to be doing this, you know? He said. The company Harmon works for did not immediately respond to the Daily Beast request for comments. Harmon felt the woman put his life at risk. She basically was putting my life in danger just because of what's going on in the world with black men, the police, obviously, police brutality, stuff like that, and just the way she tried to portray what was going on. He told the Daily Beast. That really scared me, honestly, he added. I didn't know what type of police officer I would get when they arrived there, but once they got there, they basically just asked me to leave because she actually was still mad once they got there. She was yelling at the officers. Erica P, before I let you go, let me touch base on this. Anybody that's in the transportation business where you're doing deliveries, whether it's trucking, Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, any of the services, even if you're doing, cable installation, satellite installation, in this case, HVAC technician. These are the most dangerous type of Karens to run into. Simply the fact that this woman was not in danger, but she tried to portray a situation that was not really what it was. The way she's crying on the phones hysterically, you would think the man is basically trying to kill her or trying to brutalize her in some way. And that's not what was happening. And this is dangerous because now you're bringing a gun to the scene. The 911 rep hears this and thinking the woman is in serious danger. So what's going to happen? A lot of times the police will come guns blazing. And I'm glad the way this brother handled this situation because number one, if he would have left the scene, I believe that that would have been worse for him because now they're looking to arrest you. No talking or anything like that. They're looking to arrest you because of what this woman said. The second thing was pulling out his phone and recording because every black person, especially a black male, ask any black person, they feel that we don't get the benefit of the doubt. That's how every black person just about feel when it comes to interacting with police officers because there's a distrust there. So kudos to him to doing the right thing of pulling out his phone and actually not leaving the scene and waiting for the police to come to actually speak to them and get the record straight. And then after all this, she still want this man to come in and finish the job. See, I don't have a problem with people being racist. I believe we all have some type of stereotype of bias, something of that nature. The problem is when you weaponize it. That's where the issue come. Because at the end of the day, I ain't gonna front. If I'm watching Family Feud or something like that, I'm gonna root for the black family as opposed to the white family or the black family as opposed to the Hispanic Asian family. That's just my bias of the situation. And I believe all of us have some type of bias in us. And that's fine. It's human nature. But once you weaponize it, that's where it becomes a problem. And when I say weaponize it, I'm talking weaponizing it for the bad. Weaponizing it for the good, Erica P, you may disagree with it, but weaponize it for the good would be something of like if I'm trying to sell my home and I get a low balled appraisal. So I have a white friend and I'm saying, hey, act like you live here, and they give the right appraisal where the value is tripled. I'm good with that. That's weaponizing it for the good. But weaponizing it where it's to the case that where it's to the point that a person can actually lose their life, that's where I have the problem with it. What is your take on this, Erica P?
I feel like the person that made the 911 call was in the wrong. I feel like she was in the wrong because you made the conscious decision to start fudging the truth. The minute you started fudging the truth, that's where you missed me with the whole situation. How are you going to feel threatened by this person while they're trying to do their job? But then at the end, when the cops get there, you're asking him, hey, are you going to finish? Absolutely not. You started this circumstance by being over my shoulder. You continued the circumstance by questioning my character, by questioning if I was qualified for the job. How do you even know what to look for, being the fact that you don't really know this job? Because obviously you had to outsource it for somebody to come check the system. So that is a problem. So you don't know how much schooling I got with this training. You didn't verify that with the company that you hired. And to be honest, those are not questions that you should be asking me because you called for a service and I came over to provide it. And it didn't matter if I was black, white, purple, or blue. They sent the person who could come do the job to get it handled. The next fact that I have an issue with is the fact that you chose to stretch the truth to get the cops there faster. You don't think by you making that 911 call, you went from being a normal conversation to being in distress, that 911 operator is not going to try to fast track this because they do not know what the circumstances coming into. Thank God that person decided to stay there, have his phone out, and record the circumstance. Because I feel like there are a lot of people that make these false claims and they're not held accountable for their action. You chose to have your actions. I feel like you are choosing for whatever punishment that should come into play. And I feel like there's more and more of these videos coming out because I don't really think these people are really getting punished to this aspect of what they are really doing. The next thing is for me, if I was the company owner, I don't think I would be sending any of my employees back to your service. I feel like once you did it once, that means you could always do it again. And I would rather keep my employees safe than deal with one problematic customer. The next thing is for me, you do not know what the reactions would have been if this person didn't record it. You don't know what the reactions were if, like you said, if he fled the scene, because that could have been something completely different. They'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna pack my stuff up and I'm gonna go. She knew what company you worked for because you had on a uniform. You probably came in some kind of work vehicle that probably had the name of the vehicle on it too. So in that case, I'm like, this is craziness to me. The other thing is too, like you said, there's a lot of duress going on right now with more and more videos of people of the black community not trusting the cops that are supposed to come and help in the circumstances. What if they took her conversation to heart and just believed her? What do you think would have happened? They could have put this guy in handcuffs. They could have laid him on the ground. They could have did all. They could have had. He could have had a whole different course of actions that happen. You falsely accuse somebody. What happens if this gets back to his job? And now the job going, well, my customers don't feel comfortable with you. Now I have to let you go. You're not thinking of those other aspects too. And I think that's the hard part for me. People are selfish at times when they fudge the truth. And these are circumstances that could be the difference of me or somebody that I know coming home at the end of the night or not. So that's how I feel
That's it.
about that. Now, the selective bias, no, I feel like that's a problem because in your example, it was you want to use selective bias where it doesn't weaponize. Yes, I agree with that part, but I also don't feel like it's selective bias. I feel like in the case of Family Feud, I am rooting for the person that looks like me. So I don't think it's selective bias because I'm looking at the representation for me. I feel like that's a whole different term because the thing is everybody wants their representation. If you think about it, it could be the race. It could be my race. It could be maybe my nationality. I root for the American team if I'm watching the Olympics because that's what I associate. If I'm looking at gymnastics, I'm voting for the little girl that looked like me. Yes, do I appreciate that everybody wins? Of course. Am I happy for everybody that participated? Of course. But that's any other person. If you see somebody that's part of the LGBTQ community and that's your community, you may go for that person. You're rooting for that person because that's what you self-identify as. But in no way, shape, or form am I discounting the next person if the person who doesn't win is not the person that look like me. I'm not wishing any bad will to them or ill will. And in the case with the house appraisal, oh, I got a big problem with that because I'm business minded and I worked in banking. I feel like everybody should get the fair and same treatment. So if my house is appraising at 500K, when I show it, and if my friend comes in and it's appraised at the same 500K, I'm happy. But if I show it and it's 500K and my friend come in and it's 750, we got a problem. And I'm not the type of person that's always going to just let it slide. So yeah, if now that's the operation that I'm gonna have to start making phone calls. Might have to go back old school and write a letter. Might have to send an email because that's something that I feel like is discriminatory. And there are definitely laws in place for fair treatment. You're not supposed to judge by creed and all of this other stuff. So I'm gonna look for every law under the sun that's going to be in my favor to make sure that I'm not being persecuted because of the color of my skin, because that is a problem. But like you said, we definitely disagreed on that aspect because I feel like business is business and everybody should be treated the same when it comes to business rules.
There's what I have to say about that as far as the business rules go. You can have all the policies that you want. You can have all the rules, regulations, but if the culture doesn't follow the policy, it means absolutely nothing. And I stand firm by it. You could say it's a problem and everything like that, but there's cases that are well documented that this goes on. So
Correct.
if you're asking me about race being weaponized, I'd rather it being weaponized in a positive light than a negative light. Because in a case like that, there's nobody losing their life or anything like that. In the case that we just saw, that's a person who can potentially lose their life. So I'm against that 100%. Look, since we both disagree on this weaponizing of the race card, We're going to do that in a part B of this video. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that because we're definitely going to tackle this topic and get into it. Now, the crazy thing about this video that we just saw, there's a lot of situations that go on like this. There was one in particular, though, where a person actually did this and somebody in the community actually came to that person's defense. And here's that clip.
No, it doesn't make me feel. Go to Uptown, motherfucker. I'm calling. Go to Uptown.
Don't call me back.
Go to Uptown now. You're making me uncomfortable. Go call the cops.
Call
Uptown.
them. Call them. Call them
Go to
right now.
Uptown. Stop
Call
it.
them.
No,
You
I
call
want
them.
this man to go to Uptown.
You call them.
Go to Uptown, dude.
You call
I'm
them.
not-
Let's see who's gonna get
Uptown.
off. This was an
This
off
is not my
call.
home. And it literally pulled over in the middle of the sidewalk and won't drive me home. No. No, there's nothing happening. You bitch! Can't even get out of your car, you asshole! Can you open up the fucking door? Get me out! I can't leave! It's not opening, you dumb fuck! Some black man assaulted me. I got out because he won't let me out. There's a black man that punched me on some 5 years ago. Please send the police. He's waiting. Please send the police for the black man that punched me. It is head to a grid. There is a Corolla something here. It's something. It's a Prius. A silver Prius, and a nigger punched me. Silver, and a nigger punched me. Fucking black nigger punched me. Police. Please send the police.
Get the fuck out of my neighborhood.
Please send the police.
Get the fuck out of my neighborhood.
Kudos to that gentleman right there. And two ways I believe we could remedy these issues. Number one, those in the community come to the defense and actually speak up so that these type of things do not happen. And number two, these people that are making these false accusations, pin criminal charges on them. Even if it's a misdemeanor, pin criminal charges on them. Because if they do it again and again, eventually it's going to elevate from a misdemeanor to a felony because you're a repeated offender. So I don't know. Do you believe that those two actions could actually remedy things? What's your take?
I do. I believe that they should be held accountable for their actions. Because think about it. You don't know how many times they've done this and weren't being recorded. It takes one time for you to be recorded, but a lot of times it's the fact that you've continuously been doing this. And I feel like you need to be held accountable for your actions. So if you're falsifying a 911 call, guess what? I feel like 911 operators know how to track you because obviously they got your address and your telephone number. Maybe they need to send a fine.
Right.
It's like, oh, you called them, you waste our resources and our services. Here's your bill for falsifying this information. So I feel like that's one thing that should be done. Two, I feel like if they blatantly lied to get the police there faster, where that resource could have been sent to something else and could have potentially saved a life, I feel like the police department should be holding them accountable. So even if they don't send them to jail, maybe they get another hefty fine from them too. You start taxing people enough money in their pocket, they're going to learn how to deal with the system. Or, like you said, if this caused harm to someone else, I feel like you need to be sued by them too. If I can't get criminal charges against whatever you did, then I need you to be able to go to civil court. I got to miss time from work because you falsified something. I lost my job because you falsified something. Guess what? The amount of wages that I lost, maybe you need to pay them. Maybe you need to deal with my pain and my suffering. Maybe I have nightmares at this point and I have to seek help. Guess what? You need to front those bills at this point. Because by you doing something wrong that causes harm to somebody else, a lot of times it's, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I would just brushed it off. I give you a public statement. Those statements don't do nothing for me because obviously you felt confident enough to do what you did. You need to feel confident enough to deal with all of the ramifications and all of the consequences that come with it. I don't get my time back. I don't get my effort back. I don't get my name back to where it was. Sometimes these allegations ruin people's whole careers. Sometimes these allegations cause people to do self harm to themselves because they don't understand why they were being the one singled out. In my mind, you should be wanting to prevent that too. You should not be doing stuff to harm other people.
I agree. Well said. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think in the comment section about this situation. We would love to hear your opinion on it. If this is your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking that notification bell so that you can be notified for more content like this. If you want to follow us on our other social media platforms, the links are in the description. Like this video, share this video. That's going to do it for this episode of Matter of Opinion. I'm your boy, Walls P.
I'm your girl, Erica.
And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
It's a matter of